I'm going to ask you to unmute Abu Hamda. So maybe you can explain to me your issues, and ask me the questions you might have. Can you unmute Abu Hamda? I already asked. I don't. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, everyone? It seems that no one is here. Hello. I don't know if anyone can hear me.
Hello, Mr. Hazim. I can hear you.
Okay. It seems it's going to be a one-on-one with Abu Hamda, but I don't think he's actually here. Because
I will see him if he on the BTI or not. Wait.
okay. Thank you.
I think we even have a lot of the assignments. I don't know. We just made their chance. Their fault. We can wait for another 5 minutes.
Okay, I don't know if Isra is here on the call as well. I'd like to maybe discuss with you guys how we can proceed with the coaching. Maybe if
Hello, Mr. Hazim. Good morning.
Hello. Good morning.
I'm sorry for late.
Not a problem. So, Abu Hamda, did you have an issue?
Yes.
Okay. Is it a question or are you stuck somewhere? Do you want me to show me something?
The question, please.
Okay.
I would the assignment.
Okay, go ahead. Ask me any questions you might have. I'll do my best to answer it. If it's too tough, you can ask. You can try asking in Arabic, and I'll do my best to help you anyway.
Okay, no problem.
All right.
احتاج توضيح للاساينمنت لو سمحت.
أي. طبعا. طبعا. ما السؤال؟
توضيح بشكل عام للاساينمنت كله.
Okay. I'll share my screen again. I'll share my screen. Okay. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So with the assignment, what I want you to do is that you see everything we learned in the past sessions with the forms, the validation, and the DOM manipulation. These are the three main things we learned, right?
Right.
Okay. So I want you to use these concepts to build like a website where you can add movies and have a details page for every movie. How do I say this in Arabic? website للأفلام يعني.
Mr. Hazem, write HTML code in HTML or in JavaScript?
Both, because you need you need forms, you need validation, and you need the manipulation. You can do the manipulation in HTML, and you can do all validations in HTML. So you'll need to write both. You need to do actually. These are the tasks. You need to create an index.html page.
Okay.
You need in this index HTML, you need to add a form where you write when you have many inputs. For example, you have the title of the movie, عنوان الفيلم، تلخيص للفيلم، السنة اللي الفيلم صور فيها يعني year of production, the lead actor, producer and genre, all of this in an HTML form that you're going to put in the index.html file. Also, you will add in the index.html جزء آخر على اليمين, another section where you will preview the data that you write. If you remember the exercise we did with the data binding, where we write something and it's directly showing somewhere else. I don't know if you remember this.
I remember.
You need to do this where you write, I want it to show in the section on the right, like this. You have the form on the left, the form on على اليسار. كل شيء تكتبه في الفورم يظهر في الجزء آخر على اليمين وأنت تكتب يعني. مثل هنا وين في we did an exercise when we learned about the manipulation that will be useful. If you remember this one, not this one, this one. If you still can see my screen, You remember here, if I write, it changes. It changes in the other places. What I want you to do is have here, for example, if you have an input here with the title of the film, you will have here, for example, you write, I don't know, you write, for example, The Avengers. And then on the preview on the right, you will have it written in the preview. Okay?
Okay.
Let's back to this. So the end result will be like this, where you have an info form and another part in the HTML where you have the data binding for the preview. This is the first page. You will need then to create a second page. All of this, the data binding will be written in a file called index.js, which is a JavaScript file, where you will do the data binding and the validations of the form. Okay?
Okay.
I gave you examples of validations. For example, a year of production العام اللي صور فيه الفيلم ما نجمش لا يستطيع أن يكون في السنة 3000 because it didn't happen yet. And then I want you to create another movie page.html where you will send the data from the previous form to this page so you can display it. Just show it in big, like this, for example, and use CSS to make it a bit beautiful. You learned CSS with Mr. Safedi.
Okay. Okay.
Is that clearer, or do you need more details or something?
No, it's clear. It's clear.
واضح. اوكي. الكل اللي باش تستحق تفعله في الاساينمنت الكل فعلناه مع بعضنا في الحصص الفارطه.
صحيح.
Okay. Do you have other questions?
No, thank you.
Okay. I'll ask you to unmute Yahya so you can ask your question. Yahya, are you here? Okay, it seems Yahya is not here. I'll take your questions, Tariq, then.
What do you think? I think it's good. Everything.
Okay. Do you have a question? لديك سؤالات أو توضيحات تستحقها يا طارق؟ وسامحني على العربية الغريبة.
لا كويس نايس.
No questions?
ممكن بس أشوف الأساينمنت 1 بس أشوف.
Assignment 1.
Yeah.
One second. Okay. This page? هذه يعني?
Yes.
Okay. This is just هذه تلخيص عام للأساينمنت. This is just a general presentation. Basically, you need to put yourself in the situation where you are getting a client, because this is the objective we have, is that you are at some point ready to take on clients. And how a client will come to you is they will give a need. Clients don't give tasks. You will not have a client that come and tell you, please write me HTML for this and JavaScript for this. What the client will say is he will come with a need. He will tell you, for example, I am, like I said in this, he will say, I want to build a movie streaming platform and I need your help because I have no one to write the details pages and the forms. Can you do that for me? So this is a general presentation of what the assignment is going to be, but then I go more into details explaining the tasks and how it will look.
Okay.
Is there something not clear in this first page?
Yes. I think everything it's good. But
Okay.
can you move the assignment to?
Okay. This is the first page you will have to build. Basically, on the left, it will be a page divided into parts. Just
field to input form.
yes, multiple fields, not only one field, because
Multiple fields.
أما one page جزئين، جزء على اليسار جزء على اليمين. على اليسار سيكون الفورم والfields with all the inputs. For like I said here, you will have inputs for the title, the summary of the movie, year of production, etc., or other fields you might want to add. And on the part on the right, you'll have a data binding. So like I just showed, you will have like this. For example, if you're writing the title, I want on the part on the right for you to display a bit how the final page is going to look. A sort of preview. To show you how it's going to look when you're done.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Like
Then,
previous, like this is example like a previous section in last session.
yes. Yes, we had in the first session, not the second session, and the session before that, in the first one, we had a part with this. I will show you. I had a part with the data binding here, if you remember. It will be like this, like the two-way data binding, where you have the code here to do that. It's like it's the same.
Okay.
I don't know if you can still see my screen, but this is it. This is like we did in our first session last Saturday.
Okay.
Okay. أوضح ولا لديك مزيد من التوضيحات تريد أن واضح يا طارق؟ Okay. So I will ask Muhammad to unmute now. So I said, is it clear, Tarek? Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right.
Clear.
Do you have another question for me?
No.
Okay, fine. Good. Thank you for your question. Thank you for being here today. I will take questions from Muhammad. Okay. You have no questions? Okay, good. الشيخ then. سيد الشيخ. Jamie Sheikh. Are you here?
Yes, I am here, but not I have a question. I need
لا
listening
سؤالات؟
only.
Okay.
I don't have any question.
Okay. No problem.
Yes. I asking the better way to writing code in JavaScript because I have confusing in multi code in the best.
Okay. سيكون في الحصص القادمة a part where we are going to talk about how to write good code following best practices. So you can write good code in JavaScript, if that is the clarification you need. That is what you need?
Yeah.
We will talk about that. We will have a section where we will talk about the solid principles and how we can apply that for JavaScript so you write better code. So it is a subject that we will talk about in more depth, in details. Okay?
Okay, thank you, teacher.
You're very welcome. Let's see here.
Mr. Hazm,
Naam.
lecture in Saturday. What the
Yes.
explain the lecture Saturday?
The lecture on Saturday. سامحني لم أسمع.
Yes, lecture on Saturday. The context of the lecture.
The context of the lecture. Okay. The lecture from Saturday is the first part of forms and validations. So we need to start to see how to create good forms to send data in preparation.
The next Saturday, the lecture.
Next Saturday. Okay. Next Saturday we'll start on React. We'll be starting on React. I expect also so if everyone can send me their assignments by Saturday as well. If Saturday is going to be the deadline for the assignments, but we also start React. We'll be starting React this Saturday. We'll have React this Saturday, and Sunday it will be React sessions.
React JS and React Native?
No, React JS for the web. React Native will be later for those who follow the web specialization. For those who follow the mobile specialization, excuse me. سامح.
Okay.
It will be React JS for now to start. We'll be talking about the basics. It's going to be Saturday is going to be the first lesson into React. It's going to be an introduction. We'll see what is React and why we'll be using React and why you learn React and not AngularJS, for example, or Vue.js. And we'll start seeing how to write our first React component on Saturday.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
Good. Who wants to ask? Who has a question to ask? Ahmed Abu Bakr, maybe? Or Yahya?
Do the continuous with us React Native and React JS?
Yes, I will be in charge of React and the React Native.
And React JS?
Yes, React JS and React Native. I will be in charge of React and React Native. I will also teach those who continue in the web specialization about Node.js and MongoDB. It depends which specialization you chose. For state management, Abu Bakr, initially we will have React's own state management. We will not use a library, but we will see the two alternatives later in the course. We'll see Redux and we'll also see Recoil, which is the new state management that Facebook built for React. So we'll see three ways of managing state. We'll see we'll see how to manage state with no libraries. We'll see Redux and Recoil. Yes, we will learn Node.js later in the course for those who follow the web specialization. Again, it depends which specialization you chose at the start. You will learn either Node.js or React Native. One of the two, depending on which path you chose. You asked if I can repeat the assignment discussion. So I will repeat that about, I will try to talk slowly and explain it the best I can. So the assignment is kind of, I want you to think of this assignment like a first gig. Like if you got a client for your first small job, and what you need to do is build a tool, a sort of website that is going to function like a tool for the client to use to put new detailed pages on his movie streaming platform. For example, you see when you, for example, I don't know if you use Netflix, but when you use Netflix, when you choose a movie before watching it, there is a page where you find the title of the movie, the year, the actors, and a sort of presentation. page تكون كالمقدمة للفيلم. What I need you to do is create a page like that, but also create a form that allows you to build a page like that for different movies. So what you are going to do is you're going to have a form. تكون عندك لديك index.html page. One page تكون في جزئين. جزء على اليمين وجزء على اليسار. Like you can see on my screen right now. On the left, you will have a form with many inputs. For example, title, summary, year, lead actor, genre. Is it a horror movie? Is it a romantic movie? What kind of movie it is? And I want you to use what we learned in the session Sunday with form validations to validate the form. الجزء اللي على اليمين سيكون a preview page, which means it is not going to have inputs. But what I want you to do, we learned on Saturday, last Saturday, we learned about data binding. I want you to use this technique, data binding techniques like we have written together last Saturday, like this, so that elements in the form are bound to the right side as well. So when you write it, you can already see how it's going to look when you finish. It's going to build the page as you write the inputs, if that is clear. You're just going to use data binding as we learned it on Saturday, exactly like this. on your form. And I want you, of course, to validate every input in the form. For example, like I said, if you have a year of production for input, it must not be after 2021. ما ينجمش يكون السنة بعد 2021. ما ينجمش يكون الفيلم صوره في المستقبل. The last step, the last task is to send the form. When you send the form, when you submit, it gives you another a second HTML page where you will work with HTML and CSS as Mr. Safedi taught you to display the information you have written in the form.
Only the validation is the year of
No. It is just an example. You have to validate everything. For example, you must not, if you put the actor's name, a name cannot contain numbers. Your name can't be Mr. 4 or 5
Yes.
Muhammad. So you need everything needs to be validated to make sense.
Okay.
So no year after this year, no people names with numbers, no paragraph in the title. You can't have a title that is too long. A title of the movie ما ينجمش يكون لا يستطيع أن يكون فقرة كاملة. So you'll need to put a limit there as well to validate. The input form in the view page are two. This page is a second. This and this are two pages. So the input form is a page. The view is another page. But the preview is in the same page of the form. So there are two pages. One with the form and the preview for the data binding. What you see on my screen, this is one page. And this is a second page. So this page, you write the form, and with data binding, you see what you are writing on the right. And when you submit the form, you get this page. واضح؟ أم يستحق أكثر من التوضيح؟
لا تمام.
جيسون في المحاضرة الأولى تستحق توضيح في الجيسون هك؟ أوكي. المحاضرة الأولى في المحاضرة الأولى. أوكي. Okay. We'll talk about Json again. If you remember in the first session في المحاضرة الأولى شفنا الform data. When you write a form, it sends it in the format of a form data. وكمان شفنا في المحاضرة الثانية the limits of form data. Because, for example, if you use form data here with the let me open the code. If we open the code with the form we've written on Sunday, if you remember, we had a problem here. When you choose two things, let me show you. When you choose sports and video games as hobbies here, you can't have them in a single key value. You have hobbies travel and you have hobby sports. You can't have, for example, hobbies and here an array of what hobbies you chose. Why? Because form data cannot have arrays. It cannot have nested values. For example, in form data, you can't have this. Or this. Objects and arrays can't happen in form data. So what we use is we use JSON in those cases. JSON being the way JavaScript structures its objects. So JSON means JavaScript object notation. And it's simply a structure where you input your data. When you write this object, for example, where this is a JSON in this example. This, when you write the key in the value, in this format, this is called the JSON. This is called the JavaScript object notation. And the difference with form data is here we can have objects, we can have arrays, and we can even have array of objects in our data. We don't have to have only text. And that is why JSON is useful, because you can have very complex objects. This is a JSON, for example. You can have a JSON for a person data, where you have the first name, the hobbies, and you can have even, for example, here, parents, which are objects as well, arrays of objects, where you can have, for example, another first name, etc. This is a JSON. This is called the JSON, what I just wrote. Every object in JavaScript is written in the JSON way. That's why it's called the JavaScript object notation. And it's more powerful than form data. So you might want to use it when you have more complex data. If your data is simple, you can use only form data. We use then see, this is a JSON, and then, like I said, we said here in the JSON versus form data, the good thing is since JSON is more powerful, when you work with clients, most of the time on the server, they will be accepting JSON and not form data. So it is important you know how to use JSONs as well, not only the form datas. But JSON is actually simple. It's just the way how we write objects in JavaScript, like we just did. This is a JSON. Okay. Let's take another look at the code we have written in the first session, maybe then. Can we have a quick or brief example of the first lecture of data binding? Ahmed Abu Bakr asks. So let's take a look at the example we've written for data binding. Okay. Data binding is a concept that I wanted you to learn, because we're going to see it again in React, and it's going to be way simpler. Actually, a few years ago, when Angular became very popular, it became popular because it did simple data binding. And what data binding means is that you have a single value, a variable, that controls data and you can push it somewhere else. For example, here I have the value, one value. No matter where I write it, it will always be bound to other places. So it's always the same. I can say hi here. If I transform it into hello, it transfers it to hello everywhere. And how you do that binding in real time in normal JavaScript, and is how we did in this example. Basically, what we did is we wrote a binding function that is going to function like a prototype. What we did here is that since we need to bind data to elements, we need the list of elements. This is what elements we're going to bind. And we need the value. So basically, we need an initial value. Where is the value? For example, here, hello is going to be this. This is going to be my object. With A is the value I want to bind. This is always going to be the value. If I change it, this is what is going to change, this value. Okay? So what I need to do is that when this value to change, I want everything else to change. So my function, what it will do is that it will have a getter and a setter for this value, a getter to display the value in other places I want it to be displayed, and a value setter, which mission is going to be to change this value when I change it from somewhere. Okay. What we do is, since we have many places here, we need a function to add a binding. What this does is, if I, for example, I want to add a new place where I show this, I can make another one. I will show you in the example. If I make a data binding view 2, you will see here that it is not bound. It's not the same as the others. The others change, but not this one. To make a change with them, I need to use this add binding method, like we did here. For example, here we did the add binding. We can add another dot add binding, and we need to add the one we just created, which is going to be the data binding view 2. We just need to bind it as well, like here, and we bind it. We need to say where we want to bind it. We want to bind it to the inner HTML. So this displayed inside. And if I do this, it will be bound like the others. See? That's all I need to do to bind a new one. This is what add binding how it works. What it will do is we'll take the elements and where we want to inject it, and an event if it is an element where I can write. And what it does is that whenever there is an event, it will take the value and put it inside the attribute we give it of the element. For example, here we put inner HTML in Midnight DOM element. So what it will do here, and since we change the value, whenever the value changes, we're going to take the inner HTML of that element and we're going to put the new value inside. So every time my value changes, every time obj.a changes, it goes in the inner HTML of this element and it's going to inject the new value. You have access to the code, I think, and the recording if you want to see step by step how we did this. But this is the main idea. The main idea is when we write something, we want it to be written everywhere. So we bind it, and for that we need this binding function with a value getter for our value, a value setter for our value, and a function to add new bindings. That's all we need. Then all we do is we get the elements where we want to bind our data. We create our new binding. For new binding, we choose which value we're binding. Like here, we're using obj with the property A, so this value, and we're binding it everywhere. So if I change it even from JavaScript, for example, if I put 600 here, everywhere it will become 600. Is that clearer? أوضح؟ أحمد أبو بكر، هل data binding هكذا أوضح؟ Okay, please do. You the best way to better understand it, Ahmed, is to try and write it yourself. Practice. You will understand it better if you practice and try to write it yourself. Okay. We have time for other questions. If someone has, could you talk about the roadmap of mobile dev in React? What did know and learn? Okay. You're talking about React Native or React JS, because it's not mobile. React Native, I assume. Okay. React Native. What we'll learn with React Native is we'll see how it changes from React JS. Since we're starting from React JS, we'll learn how to write interfaces without HTML. We'll see the major component libraries of React Native that we can use to easily make new interfaces. We'll see how to write styles in React Native, because React Native we have no CSS. We have React Native style sheets, so we'll learn about React Native style sheets and how they are different from CSS. And we'll learn how to build for every platform. We'll learn how to build for Android and your iOS, if you need iOS. And we'll see how you can bind a new new native libraries in your Android and your iOS. And we'll learn about all events that you can use for touches, for example, how you can implement zoom for touch screens if you want to pinch, all these gestures. We'll talk about, maybe I'll write them in the chat. We'll talk about HTML versus React Native views, because we have no HTML. We'll talk about React Native style sheets. We'll talk about React Native process, and we'll talk about build process, excuse me. We'll talk about most used libraries. And gesture events. This is what we're going to learn with React Native. Add to it what we will already know with React, and you should be able to build mobile applications with React Native. You should be able to build applications for Android and iOS. And of course, we'll see how to install, of course, the emulator and everything you need to install to run React Native. Yes, Yahya. HTML versus React Native views. React Native doesn't function with HTML, so you have no HTML in React Native. So we learn how to write with. Yes, yes, we will, Ahmed Abu Bakr. يوجد مكونات للرياكت نيتف ولكن ليست HTML. For example في في React Native, instead of writing, we will get to it, to the details. For example, in React Native, instead of writing divs, for example, like this, you will have a view like this. This is JS and HTML, and this is React Native. So there are many cases like this. You can't have, there is no inputs, neither there are no forms. You can't write normal HTML in React Native. So we have لدينا مكونات تعوض ال HTML. وسنتعلم هذه المكونات وكيف نستعملها في in the place of HTML. Is it أوضح يحيى؟ هل هي أوضح هكذا ما قلته؟ هذه الفكرة أن يوجد مكونات خاصة. نعم هناك مكونات خاصة. I don't know what you mean by مكونات. هي components. If I understand the question correctly, then yes, they will be. We will learn about the custom components in React Native versus HTML. Is there any other questions? Someone would like هناك أحد يريد أن يسأل سؤال أم يطلب توضيحات على ما فعلناه؟ Okay. Same editor, we don't need another program. Okay. You can use Visual Code. I use, we will probably use Visual Code for React in the start, at least, so I can show you how to build quickly a new React project. But I will continue using Code Sandbox for the reason it's easier to share with you, because I can give you a link and you can access the code and run it more easily. You don't have to download anything. But you can use the editor of your choice. You can use any editor you want, Mohammed. You can use any program. You want to use VS Code, Visual Code, you want to use WebStorm, you use anything you want. I only use Code Sandbox so that it's easier to share with you. It's easier for you to see. Okay, someone else wants to ask questions or we need help with anything? Okay, if there are no other questions, I'd like to take a minute to remind you of channels that that you can use to reach for me, even for one-on-one. You can use either you can send me a message on WhatsApp You can join the Discord I made for this for the students. I will send the link again. You can use this link to join the Discord. You can send me an email directly on my email address. And what we will do is that we can schedule a call on Meet, even one-on-one, where I can show you and help you with anything you might need help with. And this works because you can, last night, for example, I had an hour of one-on-one with Mahmoud Abid, who sent me a message on WhatsApp last night because he needed help, and we spent an hour working together. So please do not hesitate to contact me if you need help and you're stuck, and because that's how we will do things going forward from here. You can contact me directly at any time, and even if I'm not available immediately, we can schedule a one-on-one coaching session together, either at night or whatever. So please do not hesitate to contact me directly for one-on-one coaching, okay? Is that clear for everyone? Thank you. But yeah, please do not hesitate. I'm here for that. So even if I can't call you immediately, I will tell you that I'm available at which hour and schedule a Google Meet with you, and we can see everything that you need help with together. بالعربية بالإنجليزية باللغات الكل باللغة اللي المهم إن نفهم بعضنا. No, I will be sending the planning today or tomorrow for the rest of the weeks, but I will be teaching you the whole React course, the whole React Native course, the whole server Node.js course, and the whole MongoDB course. So you are going to be learning with me for a bit longer. Not only these 2 weeks. We're going to be together a while. That's why I'm saying do not hesitate to ask me, to contact me directly, and always do my best to help you and I'll try to use Arabic as much as I can when it is needed. Most important part is that we understand each other, and I can help you improve your skills. If that is all, I encourage you, please join the Discord, because we already have a lot of people there, and you can always, I think it's very important that you students help each other as well. When you help each other, it helps you practice as well. So please join the Discord. We are already, how many are we on Discord? We're already 48 people on Discord. So please join and interact with everyone. If there is if there are no more questions, I think we can end this here. Is there any last question before we part? Okay. So I think we can stop today's session here. And again, I know I say this a lot, but I will repeat it again. Please do not hesitate to contact me when you're stuck and you need help. Ask me questions بالعربية بالإنجليزية باليابانية. بس أسألوا سؤالاتكم إذا تستحقوا المساعدة. أو توضيح. Okay, then I think we'll stop here. Goodbye, everyone, and have a very good day. This is Korean. Korea مش يابانية. محمد. Goodbye. Have a good day. You're very welcome.